How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Night of the Ghoul, issue number 2. This is from Dark Horse Comics and is written by Scott Snyder with art by Francesco Francavilla. And this was originally a Comixology original, but thanks to Dark Horse, we're getting it out in print. Someone in my comment section for the last issue told me that it was 6 issues originally on Comixology, but Dark Horse has been doubling them up, which I have to say, $4.99 for a double thick issue, good quality paper that I won't smear with my fingerprints. You want to talk about value? This is a pretty good value. Plus, with them doing double issues for a 6-issue thing, the conclusion is next month. So yeah, about 3 months to get a whole 6-issue story out there. That's good and fast. So overall, I don't know why they released it that way, but it's good for us, so I like it. So yeah, this is chapters 3 and 4 in here. And overall, I do really like this concept. Now, I do have some gripes with it. Nothing really bad. It's more just me being a nerd and complaining about things. For the most part, I really do like it. A comic in 2 sections. Spoilers for issue 1, but not for this issue. A comic in 2 sections, you get a movie. A movie that no one knows is really real. The events portrayed in the film happened in real life, and the movie's been lost for a long time. A guy returns home from war, secretly possessed by the Ghoul, an old-timey creature that's been around for forever and has a cult protecting it, and his former teammates in the war, his troop, and his son have to figure out how to save him, how to get it out of them. And it's, kind of an old-school classic monster thing. And then in the present, the son, who turns out directed the movie, he's in a nursing home that's secretly controlled by the cult that worships the Ghoul, and they're planning some big ritual for that night when a film scholar tracks him down in order to discover the film and is going to discover the truth unintentionally. And overall, that's a great concept. There's a lot to like here, and I do like bouncing between the past and the present. Both are good stories, and I'm never disappointed to be drug out of one into the other. And overall, great concept. Now, there are a few things. For the most part, the present is pretty good. I'm still wondering what exactly is up with the kid and the mother. We get a little bit of hints, but I want to know exactly, and that should be a fun reveal at the end. But man, takes the dad a while to come around to the truth. But the biggest thing, and again, just a nerd griping, is the past segments. I really, really wish we got more with the kid and the dad's relationship, because the idea that your father goes off to war and he comes back differently, you could see this, monster, something that's really old, being like a metaphor for the savagery of war. Something old, powerful, you don't understand it, and it changes someone who you love. A good PTSD metaphor. It talks about the tragedy of war. But sadly, we don't get too terribly much of the father himself. And I really wish that there was more of a human element to it. I really wish the story was more about the relationship with the father and son, and the son seeing how he's changed and trying to come to terms with it. There really could be a really good metaphor, but we don't get too much of their relationship in here, and instead we get more plot-heavy stuff, which isn't bad, but I kind of wish we got the other thing. The plot-heavy stuff, finding a professor to find the Ghoul's weakness, learn a little bit more about the history, getting the team back together, hatching a plan. Fun stuff, but I feel that not addressing the obvious metaphor it did miss something, but it's still cool. Although that being said, another thing that I kind of feel they missed, and again, this is just nerd ranting when he shouldn't, but it's supposed to look like an old monster movie, and even though it has the film transitions, it feels more like what really happened than an old monster movie. And I heard that when that this comic, they actually sold the movie rights. That's not necessarily guaranteed that this will get turned into a movie, but if it does, I'd be curious how they shot it, because in the comic, it doesn't feel like an old movie. And when you're shooting an old movie, you have to do certain things. You know, it's harder to move the camera. We're still in the era of stage plays, and in turn, wider shots are more favorable, showing off the whole set, and old-timey, cheesy stuff, especially with special effects. And I kind of feel, I didn't put out a review for it, but Marvel's Werewolf by Night did this as well, where it was black and white, but other than that, didn't really do any classic Universal monster stuff. And I kind of wish the comic did that. I kind of wish it was a little cheesier. I kind of wish the shots were more old school shots, but other than it being black and white and taking place in the past, it doesn't really have that. And again, maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe I'm just a nerd complaining, but like when we see crazy supernatural stuff like towards the end, I'm like, what would that look like if it was really shot in the 1950s? Probably not that great. So yeah, there was just a few things in the past, focusing more on the metaphor, making it feel more old-timey. That's what I would have done, but still, as far as a fun comic book about defeating a monster and getting the gang back together and its weakness and stuff, it's still cool. It's just I feel that it kind of missed some opportunities. But other than that, though, again, just a nerd complaining about things he shouldn't. But other than that, though, a fun monster book. I love the two timelines, and I really am thinking it's going to, especially in the present really feels like next issue is going to be big and something crazy is going to happen, and I really can't wait for that. And I'm also curious about the past too, but because of the present, we kind of have a few hints on the past already, so I do really like this book. I'm curious how it's going to end. Fun, sort of revamp on classic monsters, giving them a new, modern Scott Snyder take. I guess without further ado, I'm going to switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a closer look at the book, more of the story, more of the art. I won't do any major spoilers, but I'll show you guys just a little bit of it. Anyway, without further ado, to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Night of the Ghoul, issue number 2. Actually, it doesn't say issue number 2 anywhere on here. It does have a little 2 on the back, and we get the Red Skull design, Comixology Originals, Dark Horse, 211, and $4.99. Like I said, for a good quality paper, 2-issue comic, $4.99 is more than a fair price. Definitely do really love that. I love how much value you get with this book. And also a nice cover. Night of the Ghoul logo, really classic looking. The credits with the S implying they own it. And you also get the creepy face. A really cool, old-timey, rotten body. And you get the spider-like form of the ghoul crawling out of its mouth. I didn't say this in the last issue because it would have been a little bit too much of a spoiler, but this comic does have kind of an alien feel to it, and seeing this image, yeah, you can kind of get that as well, but striking face, red, black, coming out of the mouth, classic logo, pretty cool. Anyway, if we crack it open, we get the full credits. Night of the Ghoul Episode 2, I guess like old-timey serials or something, they're saying Episode 2, also maybe because of the original publication of it, but anyway, there's the full credits. Scott Snyder, Francesco Francavilla, And then after that, we go into the issues. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the stories. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this issue is about, but I'll be avoiding the end bits. Anyway, we open up with the old man, the director, all burnt and saying, "It's him, it's the Ghoul." And yeah, really striking bright colors in the present. You do the present section, you gotta make it stand out from the past. So to have the present be like this and then the black and white for the past, really, really good work there. You notice that the guy who did the art also did the colors, so he was able to draw with the colors in mind, which I think is cool. More and more artists are taking on colorist duties. But anyway, we get the guy coming in, the guy who runs the facility, who the old man says is the Ghoul, and he says, "Hey, I called the organization, not the number you gave me, but the publicly listed number for the organization. A great way to avoid shady things in real life. Go to the publicly available link. Don't click on the link that they give you." But anyway, he says they didn't know you were over here. They don't have any record of you. And on top of that, you get this guy bringing in the son. And he'll bring up things like the dead bodies. And they say, "Yeah, we're right next to the graveyard. What do you think all those dead bodies are for?" And you get this cool looming shot with a guy looming over the coffin, and they go, "A lot of those dead bodies are unclaimed. We take pride in our work. Now you really need to get out of here." However, in the present, the kid and the dad will have a bit of a talk. You know, "Why aren't you as into this stuff anymore?" "Well, I actually have a whole big notebook." And the dad says, "I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to make you proud of me. I am doing this for you." So he decides he's going to go out and sneak back into the nursing home. And, you know, he still thinks this is the most logical explanation, that it's just he's a little nuts, you know, and that it was just a movie. But he will sneak in and see the old guy getting beat up by the security guard, which, even if he's not a scary, unhuman monster, he's still a monster. It's not a good thing to do, to have your old guy getting beat up. We even get this x-ray shot here of one of the bones breaking, so a pretty tough and gruesome scene. But where I'll leave you guys in the present is the director spits up maggots onto his face. A pretty good clue that this is going to be something supernatural indeed. Well, from there we get more stuff. Him trying to find the film. The kid goes on his own adventure with some spooky elements, to say the least, but I don't want to spoil any more of the present section. But what about the past? Here's the part 3 marker. I do like they kept those in to tell you, you know, you basically know, and there's the other cover as well. But you get, again, the torn up film to show you when you're going in and out of the movie. I mean, the black and white's a good enough clue, but they're going, the guy and the kid, to see a professor, and of course, well, here's the professor. She's there in her wheelchair, and she's going to try to send him away. "Oh, that's not the sort of stuff I study." But when the kid begs and tells a little bit of the story, she'll talk about the Ghoul's history. And yeah, she does know a bit about the Ghoul, and in fact, she got maggots in her face, which gave her the disease that kept her in this wheelchair. And she talks a bit about the lore, how there's the cult of the fly, and the legion of the scarab, and the fly is the one that protects the Ghoul, and the scarab is the one that fights it, but they're all dead right now, so no help from them. But she does start to talk, and we do get someone pounding on the door, and it's the janitor poking his head in, and the kid sends him away. You know, she said go, but you start to wonder, is that really the janitor? or does the Cult of the Fly have someone there? We get another scene where they go to Joe's Tavern and they get the whole gang back together, the whole troop. Come on, guys, this is something we have to do. He was our friend, he was our brother. Let's go. What do we have to do to kill the Ghoul? Something very, very bad. And that's where it cuts out of that past section. I do love, little cliffhangers like that. Don't just tell us, say it's bad, and then leave us wondering how bad, what is it? But something they need is in the museum, and we get a fun museum segment with a big dinosaur skull, and they all kind of go in there like it's Scooby-Doo or something, the kid in the front, the professor's there, the main guy, and the whole troop. And we do get to find out a bit about the lore, what their plan is, the stuff that the Scarabs did. Even though the Scarabs are no longer around, we can study their notes, try to figure out what they were up to, and come up with a plan to go after the Ghoul, try to save the kid's dad. But can we? And can we even kill this Ghoul? And again, we know kind of because of the future segments that it doesn't end 100% perfectly, but I do wonder how that's going to end, how that ties up to the present. And I do wonder, because, there's so much in the present about that missing reel. I wonder, are we going to see what's on that missing reel, and if it's going to be something super shocking? That could be pretty cool. But overall, a fun comic. Like I said, I wish the past had more of the metaphor, and I wish it was shot more to be an old-timey monster movie-looking thing. But that being said, as a classic monster reinvented in, Scott Snyder's way of doing things, I think it is really fun, and I definitely did enjoy it. And I do like a good split timeline story, what's going on in the past versus the present, and you can tell that it's a good one of those whenever you're jerked back and forth, you don't miss the section. Well, I mean, you do miss a section you're just in, but you don't complain about it. Whenever it's a bad one, you're like, not this part again. But really for this one, either or, I am curious what's going to happen in the timeline. So overall, a pretty fun book, $1 per page, a good ratio, high quality paper. Dark Horse just really put out a good product here, and I like the release. So overall, definitely recommend it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Dark Horse playlist, where you can find a bunch of other Dark Horse books, in particular like Alien books. But you can also find my review for the first issue of this if you want to see it. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Dark Horse playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.